Hey everybody, Sylvie the Shadow here, and I want to go over some things. Specifically, there are three things I want to go over. I got some good news, I got some other news, and I got something I really want to talk about dealing with YouTube and Jacksepticeye. But that would be like later on in the video. But first thing I want, what is it, girl? Huh? What is it? Why do you want my attention so much? But first thing I want to talk about, as you all know, I got a dog like last month, I think it was. And the news about her is she is pregnant. So she's going to be a mommy dog. Yes, she is. You going to be a mommy dog. But yeah, my dog's pregnant. And she's going to be a mommy Rottweiler or a Momweiler, if you will. She's going to be a Momweiler. Isn't that right, Moxie? And for those of you that don't really know, if you guys ever play Borderlands, then you know which character I named her after. But I'm going to put a picture up here so you guys know which Borderlands character I named her after, because she acts like a Moxie. She's so sweet to people. Anyways, that's the first news out of the way. And now I got some other news regarding a video I did, I think, I want to say around last year. I don't have that many videos on the channel, and well, I do, but they're all kind of spaced out, if you guys know what I mean. But I have this one video, and it's called "You're Okay, I Promise," and I want to talk about this video, not necessarily because I have to, but because I want to. And at the time, I guess I was just kind of struggling and copying other YouTubers because I didn't realize how similar my video was to another fantastic YouTuber by the name Newsboy100. Good friend of mine. He's a real good friend of mine. You guys heard me shout him out on the channel several times. Like, several times. I think I gave him so many shout outs. And Diamond Deleu brought this to my attention also. And I didn't want to be that one YouTuber that just steals other YouTubers' content and not be upfront and honest with you guys, because I kind of did steal Newsboy's flow, because he uploaded a video called How to Love Yourself, and I didn't realize how similar our videos were until me and Diamond Deleu started talking about it. And Diamond pointed it out to my attention. Amazing YouTuber, by the way, Diamond Deleu. So I'm going to put both of their links in the description. But I apologize. I didn't know how similar the video was. And like I said, it's not something that I really felt like I had to address, but it's something I feel like you guys need to know, because I'm very passionate about YouTube. I like to stream. I like to do videos. I hate doing shorts. I feel like shorts don't do enough justice for the channel. I don't know why I feel that way. I just have a problem with doing shorts. Dude, you're a tired girl. Yes, you are. But, oh, by the way, if you guys hear me talking to myself at some point in this video, I'm actually talking to my dog. She's being a good girl. Yes, she is. But anyways, I just wanted to tell y'all especially to Newsboy 100 and Diamond Delu, that I am sorry. Like I said, it was an intentional mistake. And both of them are very fantastic, very passionate YouTubers, right? And they make me want to be more passionate about YouTube, to be honest. And like I said, I have a deep passion for YouTube. I think it's something I could do. I think it's something that is, I think we're going to get enough subscribers for this year to hit my goal, or at least I hope so. But you never know. Now, I do want to talk about the Jacksepticeye situation. So, if you guys don't know who Jacksepticeye is, which is hard to imagine that no one knows who Jacksepticeye is, but you know, he did a cameo in Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. It was either Chapter 2 or 3. He did a cameo in one of them. Fantastic YouTuber. I used to watch him way back in middle school. So like maybe 2013, Sylvie. And at the time, I wasn't really watching nobody else. I wasn't watching PewDiePie because I watched him way back in 2012, back when PewDiePie was at his peak. And at that particular time, I didn't really like Markiplier. Well, I loved Markiplier. I just didn't watch him all the time like I did Jacksepticeye back in middle school. Now, in high school, I started watching Markiplier, and he was like the only gaming YouTuber I ever watched for a long time during high school and a little bit after high school too. But I was feeling nostalgic, and I was scrolling through my feed. And as I was scrolling through my feed, I see the Jacksepticeye video, and I think the title was something like Jacksepticeye YouTube situation is crazy. I think that's the title. So I'm going to play you a little bit of a clip. I mean, I have more clips in store because I obviously screen recorded most of the video. But I'm going to let Jack explain a little bit of the situation. Then I'm going to put my 2 cents in, and we're going to do it that way. And if I don't forget, I'm going to link his channel in the description. Even though he's a big YouTuber, I know that he doesn't really need he doesn't really need it. But I'm still going to do it because I am using his video for the most part. So I'm going to let Jack talk for a little bit.
And with inconsistency and frustration. If you're watching this video and you see the title and the thumbnail, you know what kind of video it's going to be. And despite what you might think, I don't actually enjoy making these videos. I don't want to complain. I don't want to sit here and talk about things that are frustrating. I just want to play games and get on with my life and have fun.
See, the reason I started doing live streams and videos is because YouTube was fun. YouTube is fun to me. And I feel like a lot of creators do it for money, which isn't entirely bad. But I think you should just do YouTube because you have a real passion for it. I think, at least in my honest opinion, I think YouTube comes from a place of passion and not from a place of greed or monetary gain, you know?
But sometimes you need to stop and call out some of the bullshit that is happening before you. So recently when I was uploading Resident Evil 9, I uploaded all the parts and everything was fine, but one video, part 4, as many of you know, got age restricted.
Which really sucks for Jack. I feel like that shouldn't get age restricted because you see a lot of YouTubers playing real violent games like Mortal Kombat. Resident Evil is pretty violent, and I get it. I don't completely agree with the censorship and everything, but there is way worse on YouTube than people know. Like, there's all types of messed up vids. But in Jack's case, it's not anything violent or something like that. You're fixing to find out, actually. But anyways, I'm going to let him talk some more so he can explain a little bit more about this situation. But I just want to put my 2 cents in there on gaming with violence. Violence in gaming, not gaming with violence. That would be a whole nother thing. But violence in gaming, I don't feel like that should be. I don't think it should be cut out or uncensored. I think we should just keep violence in video gaming uncensored. I get it. I know some depictions are really hard to show on camera. But I feel like if it ties into the story, I feel like you don't need to cut out certain scenes from the game if they're like too violent or if it's just overall part of the gameplay, because, you know, violence is in a lot of games. You can't help how the developers make the game. But I just want to just say I'm all for violence in gaming. But that's just me personally. That's my own opinion.
Which means that you have to be over 18 or above an age threshold to be able to watch the video. It got age restricted and it got limited ads as a result of that. So limited ads normally means that it'll still go out to all your subscribers. It'll still go out to where it needs to go. I don't know the metrics of that. I don't know how that actually works. But whatever happens with age restriction is that it usually kills a video for you.
So fortunately for me, the whole time I was streaming Resident Evil 9, so far I haven't got age restricted, luckily. But age restriction does show your video to a limited audience, you know, because it limits the spread of the video, which I still think is stupid. I think it's stupid. This whole situation with YouTube and Jack is just stupid because I feel like they took down his video unfairly. Like, he hasn't got to the point yet, but there's a lot of issues going on with YouTube at the moment. There's especially stuff like in the UK using IDs and whatever. A lot of issues with YouTube, but also at the same time, you know, I would like to think most YouTubers on this platform just do YouTube for fun and not for monetary gain and money, which is nice. And I feel like Jacksepticeye does YouTube for the right reasons. I think he just does it because he enjoys it. And I think that's why he has such a massive audience, because you can see his passion through his craft.
If you get age restriction is one of the worst things that you can get on a YouTube video because it just completely cuts your audience off. Limited ads means that you can still see the video. You don't need to sign in. You don't need to do XYZ to actually see the content. If it gets to browse features, suggested, homepage, I don't know any of that. Maybe somebody else could do a deep dive on that stuff, because it is interesting how different things that happen to your video can affect how it performs. The reason that this is really annoying, don't get me wrong, the Resident Evil 9 series that I did incredibly well. I'm not here to bemoan that I'm not getting enough views. I'm not here to bemoan that the episode 4 did like so badly and I should deserve better. What's pissing me off about all of this is the inconsistency everywhere across the board with it. So when I got age restricted first, it said I had limited ads and I was age restricted, and they told me, as you can see here, that it was inappropriate language, profanity in title, thumbnail, or usage in the content.
See, I find it stupid that Jack got age restricted for swearing, because there's a lot of other YouTubers that swear and their videos don't get taken down. Like, you hear them say the words like shit or fuck a lot, and their videos don't get taken down. However, with this situation, with this crazy situation, they took down Jack's video on Resident Evil 9. I think he was on part 4. I think that's what he said in the video. But he was on part 4, and they took down part 4 for swearing. But later, they take it down for a whole entirely different reason. And that's why I feel like YouTube needs to really fix their system. Now, for the most part, the system is fantastic for the most part. But sometimes the system still has flaws. And I think YouTube needs to fix their system more. Like, it's not perfect, but it's okay for the most part. It could be better, but it definitely needs some improvement, I think, so people like Jacksepticeye doesn't get age restricted unfairly.
Okay, I don't have any profanity in titles or thumbnails ever because of this. I know for a fact that it'll get claimed every single time, or it'll get limited ads on it. And normally I'm like, okay, I swear a lot on my content, and it says here, YouTube selection, moderate profanity like shit in the title or thumbnail. Again, there's no profanity anywhere in the title or thumbnail. Focal usage of profanity throughout a video, such as profanity used in most sentences, profanity used in the title or thumbnail, or of music or stand-up comedy content. Now, I do swear in my content. It's not something I'm going to change. I tried doing it before where I was like, maybe I shouldn't swear in my content anymore because it'll perform better. It felt weird to do that. I'm someone who just swears in my day-to-day language already. But I didn't swear any more than any of the other videos. Parts 1, 2, 3, and 5 all had swearing in them as well. And it seemed to be fine. I don't know why this cropped up. And if anything, there's some other videos where I swear way more. Not only that, but it's a big video. It's like 2 hours and change, maybe. And the amount of swearing per minute in that video, I don't think is that bad. But what got worse for me is that I tried to get it appealed. I put it in. I talked to my rep about it. And I'm lucky enough that I do have a rep at YouTube that I can talk to put it forward, to try and get a bit more detail on it. Sometimes things happen, like I show a game where there might be a hanging body in it.
See, again, I understand if you're playing a game, say you're this big or small YouTube gaming content creator, and you're playing like a real violent game, and then you see hanging bodies that add to the atmosphere of the game, or how a person dies in game. I could see why that would be risky to show. I understand, but again, I'm sticking to my opinion that if it adds to the game, or if it adds to the story, or if it gives the story context or something, I get that. Funny enough, I don't think you should cut it out. Honestly, I think, because I like to show games as a whole. So if I see a hanging body in games, I'm not going to cut it out. I'm playing the game as is. That's just me. If you guys remember, I did a live stream on a game called Anno Mutation. Really fun game. But there is this one part of the game where this door is closed off. I'll post a short in this video somewhere. You guys, but there's this one part of the game where in Anno Mutation, you live in this, I guess, like apartment complex or something like that. And there's one of the doors with police tape, and it's blocked off and everything. And what it really is when you get to that door and you peek through the peephole, you get jump scared by hanging dead body. And as far as I know, that stream did not get age restricted and did not get limited. So I don't see the problem in it. It's kind of hypocritical on the terms of service part, because that stream surely should have got age restricted if they age restricted Jack just for swearing.
And I think they usually age restrict for that as well now, or hit you with some sort of flag. That I can understand a bit more, because it is something very dangerous to show on camera or to show on screen in a lot of ways. But swearing's not so bad, you know? And I put it out to my rep, and they went looking for it more. And within a few hours, maybe, I got this back, which says your video will remain age restricted. What we found, your content was age restricted because of community guidelines. Content that shows violent or graphic visuals, certain medical procedures, animal abuse, or some cases of gaming and scripted video or scripted violence may be age restricted if it's not appropriate for all audiences.
Again, this ties back to the earlier conversation of many YouTubers showing graphic content in video games and having them not get age restricted. And it's kind of stupid that, number one, they didn't let Jack know anything. They kept it real vague. If you can't tell, and he mentions that in the video. He says they kept it real vague for him not to understand, or something like that, or he has trouble understanding that, which is stupid, because if there's a reason you took down a large YouTuber or a small YouTuber's video, I think you should give them a reason. Like, well, every time I had to deal with a copyright or something like that, YouTube usually tells me this is where the copyright at, or this is where the violent depictions at. YouTube usually gives you the reason why, or in this certain section of the game you can't show this. It usually gives you the reason. And it sucks that they kept it so vague with Jack, and then turn around and inform the man after they took it down for swearing, or not take it down, my bad, but age restricted it for swearing. But they turn around and say, oh, it's got violent depictions in it, but it doesn't give them a reason. It doesn't give them a section of the game where they're saying the violent depictions at. It doesn't give them or if it's the whole game or whatever. It doesn't give them none of that. It doesn't simply just explain that.
So what's frustrating to me in all of this is that first you told me that I was getting hit by all of this because of language. I got limited ads because of that. And you didn't really give me any other stuff. It was just super vague. And if anything, most of it was wrong about where the swearing ended up being. But it's super vague. I don't know what you mean by that. I'd point to an example. At least when you get hit by a copyright claim, it points exactly where it is. You can cut it out, move on. There's an editor on YouTube. For any of you who don't do YouTube or don't know about it, you can literally go in and re-edit a video after it's gone up. So if something in the video is deemed inappropriate, you can pull it out, it gets reprocessed, and then that flag gets taken off your video. It's a great system.
And just like Jack said, it's a real good system. It's a fantastic system for the most part. But like I said, even though it's a fantastic system, it's still got some issues.
Wonderful. It's the same with music. If you have music in it and it gets copyright claimed, you can just cut that section out and then the copyright goes away most of the time. But then to come around and tell me afterwards that it's because of graphic visuals and violence in the game, while also not pointing to any of it. You're just saying like, oh, the game's violent. Like, obviously, it's a Resident Evil game. All of them are violent. And this one, I guess you could argue it's more violent than some of the others. Like, some of the kills that happen in it are absolutely ridiculous.
So, I did some snooping. I did some research. I actually went on Google and looked up the most violent Resident Evil game. And I figured it would be 7 because 7 had a lot of violent scenes in it. And 8 wasn't really violent, but then again, I never made it really far into 8. But I do have some news that Resident Evil Requiem or 9, whatever you want to call it, is the most violent Resident Evil game of all time. And if you don't believe me, look here. You're welcome. I actually did some of the research. I've looked at it. And it's definitely a violent game. And it's definitely one of the most brutaler Resident Evil games if you include the finishers, the kills, and some of the stuff that we've seen in my personal streams of it. Yeah.
I didn't really see some of the most violent stuff that can happen in that game. And part 4, I can't exactly remember what happens in part 4. I think that's the part where I'm in Raccoon City. I don't seem to see any part of that video that seems to be like way above anything else that's like, oh god, we need to age restrict this because children can't be watching it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's also really vague. I don't know what you, like, where in that video you're pointing at. I wish I could know. Maybe YouTube has a reason. I'm not trying to come down on them and say like everything's bad. Sometimes they have a reason and they can't say it publicly, and I find out in private and I'm like, oh, actually, that does make sense why you wouldn't be allowed to say that publicly. I don't know in this case. I don't know what happened.
So this voiceover part might sound a little bit different because I'm somewhere else. I'm in a more closed-in space, so it's probably not going to sound echoey, but if you notice the difference, I'm just in my truck this time. But I 100% agree with Jack. There's certain things that should be brought out in the public, for sure. And I think there's a lot of things that YouTube tries to, keep in private, which they should if it's a very serious matter. However, I still think they should have told Jacksepticeye, like, hey, let him know something. Like, let him know why his video got taken down. Let him know what section of the video got taken down. Let him know what section of the video got taken down. It don't make sense to me. Like, you think YouTube would be more, I don't know the word to describe it, but you think YouTube would be a little bit more aware of letting people know instead of using like real vague terms that you really don't know. And that's pretty much all I want to say for that part.
Appeal got rejected. My video ends up age restricted anyway. The reason
and he's going back to the age restriction thing, which age restriction is a problem, especially if, I don't know, you didn't do anything to deserve it. Like, I don't know. I feel like YouTube did Jacksepticeye real dirty, because the whole time in this video, he's saying YouTube didn't really pay it, that YouTube basically age restricted that video for no reason. I feel like there's got to be a reason behind it. I feel like Jack needs to know the reason behind it. But YouTube won't let him know anything, so how is he supposed to know where he went wrong in the video? And at some point later on in the video, he says that this also happens to some other creators. So far, I've been lucky enough where it hasn't happened to me yet, but, things could always happen. It's a way of life. And it's something we gotta deal with eventually.
Restriction is so bad is you can see it here. Now, don't get me wrong. The views on the Resident Evil 9 series are absolutely amazing, and I'm very, very happy with them. This is more for educational purposes, more so than me bemoaning what happened to me. But you can see that episode ones always do really well. Episode 2s are usually like half the views. That's just how Let's Plays are. It's always been like that since the start of gaming on YouTube. But it's pretty consistent then. 1.8, 1.7. For some reason then 1.4 on part 4, and then 1.6 on part 5. Normally what ends up happening is that it's high views.
Sylvie stopping the video again. I'm sorry that I can't keep letting it play due to several reasons, and it will go against a policy, and I'm not trying to have that happen. But first playthroughs, the first part of a playthrough usually goes really well. There's been several streams and playthroughs that I've done where episode 1 had the highest amount of, I guess, attention. I'd much rather say attention than views, because I'm a small content creator, so it's more attention for us, or not really attention, but you know what I mean. Or at least I hope you do. I know I'm a little bit all over the place with this video. And, you know, the other parts kind of not really lose views, but depending on how big your channel is, well, not really depending on how big your channel is, but, you know, you keep consistent views throughout the whole playthrough, especially if it's a massive game like Resident Evil.
And then it tapers off as the series goes on. Everything ends up rising, but that curve is usually the exact same across all of them. The titles are all fine. Where's the profanity? Where's the shit? Where's anything like that going on in that video? For the limited ad section of it, or the age restriction of it. I don't get it. But what ends up happening is that because that got age restricted, now it cuts off a ton of views. And again, 1.4 million views is still an incredible amount.
It's crazy to me how unwilling YouTube is to unrestrict Jack's video, unage restrict it, because he didn't use no profanity in the thumbnail, which starting out the video was the main reason he was talking about YouTube saying there was profanity in the title of his video and an excessive amount of swearing in the video. But then YouTube turns it around later and it says it's depiction of gore and violence because they're refusing to unage restrict it because they think what they did is right, even though it's completely wrong and unfair to Jacksepticeye. And to be honest, Jack has every reason to be really pissed off about this situation. Me personally, if I was massive like him, I would have so many problems with that, and I probably would be, I would probably turn into a low-cal or something. just get milk for laughs. But anyways, as I was saying, I don't know. It's just crazy how unwilling YouTube is to unage restrict his video, even though you could go on YouTube right now and look up hundreds of videos with depictions of gore, excessive amount of swearing in the titles, like, and the list goes on. And I understand YouTube won't be able to catch it all, but I am saying have some consistency in the policy or things going against the terms and service. That's all I'm saying. And I'm sure Jack will agree with me.
Incredible amount, and I'm very happy with it. I'm glad. Normally when this happens, it kills a video completely. Like this would be at 800k or something. It would completely decimate the views on it. Age restriction is like video homicide. It just kills any momentum that a video has. And you can see it in some of the graphs here, like this. I don't know which videos these are, but if anything, this should prove it even better, because this is the graphs that you normally get, again, when you're doing YouTube, a little behind the scenes for you. The top of this graph, this sort of like gray cone, is the high average views you normally get. The lower part of it is the lower end of the average views you normally get. Resident Evil, big series, one of the biggest ones I'm going to do this year, because everyone loves Resident Evil and it always does really well. It goes above the average because it's better than all the rest. People are really engaged in it. People really want to watch Resident Evil whenever I upload it. Then
So, I apologize if I keep on letting the video play out in a large amount of time. It's just because I really want to get the point across on how serious this is, especially for big YouTubers like Jacksepticeye and Corey Kenshin, people like them, people that stream gaming content on a daily without swearing or having excessive amount of gore and violence, depiction of violence, however you want to word it. It's just very hypocritical of YouTube, I think, because they never tell them a reason. And being a well-known YouTuber like Jack or Corey or anybody that did gaming, I guess Smosh was really popular at that time. I'm going by YouTubers that were popular at my time. I don't know any current YouTubers that are popular other than, you know, the YouTubers I grew up watching, which were Jack and Markiplier and PewDiePie, people like that. But Resident Evil always done well. I like my first stream on Resident Evil 9, and I get a lot, not first stream, but my first stream on that Resident Evil game did really well, better than I expected it to. I still gotta do Village. I want to take down the playlist for Village and redo it because I had a lot of complications in Village. But, and I'm not trying to make this video about myself, but I just want to point out my experiences out there. I'm sure you guys understand. But I think it would affect smaller creators like me, Newsboy, Diamond Delu, Camstreet, any smaller creator you could think of. I think age restriction will affect them more because, like I said, it's all about the spread of your video. And if your video gets age restricted, it's not going to go out to the proper, or the not proper, but it's not going to go out to the wider audiences that enjoy your content, that love your content. It's just not something that happens. And even though it will screw you up as a big creator, it was still, I would think it would really mess you up if you were a small creator like me.
You have another video. Again, I don't know what order these are in. You can probably tell by the views that they have. But again, top side of it, it's going up, above, and beyond. Then another one, above and beyond. And then you have part 4, which is like smack dab in the middle of your averages. It definitely has an effect on this stuff. Normally what would happen is that this graph, this blue line, ends up just flatlining if you get age restricted. I'm lucky enough that it's Resident Evil. People are really into it. They want to watch the series anyway. So people, by and large, are still pumping the numbers into that. But what ends up happening is that so many people I've seen went to that video that day. They're watching first 3 parts normally. They sit down for their dinner and they want to watch part 4. And then suddenly it's telling them to sign in. But it's worse than that because now we live in an age where you don't just have to sign in. You have to upload ID in a lot of places.
So let's talk about the YouTube ID verification thing, which is the most dumbest thing to do. I disagree with having age ID verification because that's how a lot of people take your information. As Jack says later on in the video, that's how people know where you live, how people could steal your identity, stuff like that. How people can get your personal info through an easy means because you're trusting a website with your personal information. An ID holds a lot of personal information on you. And this is a serious thing, and I feel like YouTube needs to change that because no one wants to put in or take a picture of your ID just to prove that you're above the age of 18. I think that system is flawed. And it's just YouTube. It's just watching a YouTube video. Isn't that insane? Like, places like in the UK are doing it. I don't know where else is doing it, but Jack says the UK is doing it, and some other places are doing it. But it's just wild to think that you have to use ID verification, take a picture of your ID, just to watch a YouTube video. That's the most dumbest thing ever. And I'm sorry if I seem a little bit angry. It's just, I don't know. I'm just so upset by that one thing. And I remember when YouTube first announced this, it got a lot of hate, and with very good reason. I think because if you look back on YouTube's history, around the 2010 era, maybe even before 2010, but from let's just say from 2010 to 2020 was an amazing era for YouTube. People were uploading diss tracks, people were cussing, people were just being people. And you in a world where the ad apocalypse didn't happen would bring YouTube back. I think YouTube needs to go back to its Wild West days, where hardly anything was off limits. And I get it. I understand if it's like an actual crime being documented and filmed and posted on YouTube. I understand if it's like an actual crime and YouTube doesn't want to be associated with it, so they take down the video. I get that. But in terms of video games, like I said, if there's violence or anything serious in a video game, I think it should be uncensored. I think they're going about this whole age verification system wrong. But that's just my personal belief and thoughts. So let's get Jack focused back on the video.
The UK especially has gotten really, really bad at allowing you to engage with any sort of content that is deemed, I don't know, censorship worthy. It reeks of censorship all across the board, and trying to get people to input their IDs to be like, oh, you're above 18. That's the only way we can verify it. Absolute bullshit. This stuff gets taken over, and there's been breaches before where people's government IDs and government names and addresses and whatever have all been leaked. So a system that is asking for more of that is just bad. You shouldn't have to input that shit to watch a YouTube video, especially for a gaming Jacksepticeye Resident Evil video. It's absolutely obnoxious. But again, what's really bothering me about all of this is the inconsistency everywhere across the board, telling me that it's swearing, telling me that it's graphic violence. But what's worse is that everyone's playing the same game. We're all playing the same scenarios. Granted, there's a bit of deviation in terms of where people go and what they see and the grab attacks and the finishers that people are seeing. But by and large, 75% of the game is the exact same across multiple videos.
I 100% agree with Jack's stance on age verification ID. You definitely don't need an ID just to watch a gaming YouTube video, let alone any YouTube video. I think it's kind of dumb. And like Jack said, people went through breaches. People got their information stolen all just because of the ID verification system. And I understand why they do it that way, is to protect people who shouldn't be seeing that content. But at the same time, that's what YouTube Kids is for. Or YouTube Kids should be for that. And this YouTube should be kind of all wild, uncensored, all over the place. That's how I feel. Because I feel... Because they made YouTube Kids to take away kids that are not at that age where they can view kind of the violent content and stuff like that. And like I said, I 100% get it. If they didn't make a freaking YouTube Kids app, so none of that happens. I completely 100% agree. I think Jack has a point with everything. And like he said, it's very infuriating when YouTube doesn't stick to their policy and becomes inconsistent. Because, like he said many times in the video, first it was the swearing in the thumbnail and title in the video itself. Then he gives it to an executive on YouTube or his representative to YouTube, only for it to come back and still be age restricted because of violent depictions. See, that's dumb. And like Jack says, the game is the same all across the board, other than the commentary being different. Usually when it comes to commentary, especially in video games, everybody's going to have their own commentary style. Like, I usually try to make my commentary style energetic and chaotic, kind of like how Jacksepticeye and PewDiePie, Markiplier, kind of like all those people and how they used to do it back in the day. But I'm also trying to make my own style out of it. And I feel like this is a serious problem. I wouldn't go through this much trouble of editing a video if I didn't want people to be aware of this. You know, I want people, I feel like people have to be aware of this, especially this whole situation, but not just the Jacksepticeye situation alone. I want people to be more aware of how inconsistent YouTube has been when it comes to stuff like that, stuff like Jack's situation. It's very inconsistent, and to use vague terms so Jack doesn't know is just wild.
It's the commentary that changes it, but the same cutscenes, it's the same story, all of that. But a lot of other people aren't getting age restricted for the same thing. I wouldn't even make this video if I got age restricted, and then I went to everybody else's videos that played the same section, and they were all getting age restricted.
100%. I feel like if Jack got age restricted for playing RE9, that many other people that play it should have gotten restricted for playing RE9, like Corey Kenshin. I'm not sure if he got age restricted. I think Jack said something along the lines to Corey being age restricted when it came to his Resident Evil playthrough. But at the same time, you take someone like me, and I understand that YouTube doesn't really focus their attention on smaller creators like me, which works to our advantage and it works to our disadvantage. You know what I mean? Like, our advantage is we could practically post anything we want, almost, with YouTube not trying to age restrict our video or anything like that. But you take someone as big as Jacksepticeye, and YouTube puts you in a spot where they age restrict your video, and then is very inconsistent to why it got age restricted, which he still got the views he was looking for. He still got like tons of views, and I'm glad he's happy about that. But like he said, the main problem is not the video alone. It's just the inconsistency that YouTube has with age restricting that video. So, guys, I'm going to end this video here because Jack just goes on about how infuriating it is that YouTube's being so inconsistent. And like he said, he went to multiple other channels to see if they're age restricted. Some were not, some were. And it's just the inconsistency that he's mainly infuriated at. And like I said, I just wanted to get the most important parts to the video, or what I felt like was the most important parts of the video, to really bring awareness to how inconsistent YouTube is with their age restriction and their ID policy they're doing in the UK and places like that. And hopefully, oh man, I lost my train of thought. Sorry guys, I'm very professional, as they say in the YouTube gaming world. But as I was saying, YouTube's got a weird system in place right now. And there's a lot of it I agree with, but there's a lot of it I disagree. The system's not perfect. No system on any website is what you say perfect. But with YouTube being the company that it is, I feel like they really could do better. And hopefully, in the future, they do better and they take away the ID thing. And I think that would be a better YouTube for all of us if we let the creators create content, because they enjoy it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on this whole situation. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in a stream or the next video that I do. Bye!